to do. You had to rush to
Yeah.
rush the film.
Yeah, it's rushed.
And really good character graphics and computer generated
Right.
graphics take time.
I would argue that this is a problem. That was a problem before the reshoot, because I remember when they released the first trailer for Justice League, and everybody had a problem with Cyborg.
Yeah,
Right.
But again, the movie,
So how did
didn't
how did Cyborg look to you here?
He doesn't look weird to me there.
I still think Cyborg looked a little weird.
Yeah, there was
I was seeing a lot of it more on the punch-ins on his face,
right.
and I'm like,
Because there were some moments where, like, the CGI, I felt like it would look good. Like, when he was in the hoodie, I was like, all right, this doesn't look bad. But then there was that moment, like, when he came back and they were, like, all together. And he started, like, he started, like, reacting to Superman. And, like, he was doing things that he couldn't control. And there was a moment where he does, like, this turn, and he looks completely two-dimensional. That's one, it's probably, like, one frame, but it's enough that you can tell. It just looks fucked up. There's another point, like, in editing, this movie also has, like, some weird moments in editing where, like, it begins with Batman, like, chasing down this parademon, and the parademon blows up. And then, like, he says, like, well, get the plane ready. We're going to go. This is probably when he's going to start recruiting. And then the next day, he's going to pick up Aquaman. He has, like, a full beard and mustache, and it's like, you do this in one day? Like, Miracle Girl? Like,
how fast is your beard growing?
Yeah, how fast is your beard growing?
You got some people like Khalil with some really cool beards.
Yeah, it's like,
Thank you, bro.
You hear working hard. You hear working hard. Like, he just takes, he just rolls over in the bed, like, woke up like this.
Some people can grow a beard pretty quick. But not like Bruce Wayne quick, man.
It's that white privilege, man. Like,
but
even the hair comes up faster.
But I mean, I think again, Warner Brothers and DC they're being very reactive. They're being very skittish.
Yeah.
So it's a case where you're not getting to see necessarily what was intended for the film. So things will seem janky, like with Justice League. On one hand, they pulled together the story for the theatrical release pretty well.
Right.
There weren't as many really visible, large truck-sized holes in terms of plot for this one.
There was some for me,
but there's still gaps.
Right, there were some for me, like some stuff that like were kind of like they made sense in the plot, like where they were hiding the mother boxes. Like you had one in Atlantis, you had one in Amazon, but then Earth they just bury it. And it's like these super powerful devices that you can't fall on anyone's hand. You just bury it like 6 feet under. That kind of for me didn't really add up. With that was just like a plot. It didn't make sense to me. The plot.
Let me jump back quick to what did really well. The sequence where Steppenwolf invades Themyscira.
Right?
Those Amazons kicked ass, and
those fight scenes were really well done.
Really good. You had a lot of cool stuff going on there, but.
Yeah. One of the things that I want to say before we finish this segment of the discussion is it's unfair to compare this to Thor because they come out the same similar
But a lot of
times,
people are though.
right? So over at Thor, there's a villain with a huge kind of horned headpiece that is killing it, and
you couldn't even tell it was CGI.
Over at DC, there's a villain with a horned headpiece that is like just so generic, right?
Yeah.
Steppenwolf is the most generic villain. I didn't care what his motivation was.
There were times I forgot he was in the film.
Care that he was the antagonist. It was very upsetting.
Yeah,
I was just like, "Geez, what a waste."
I don't know. Steppenwolf is no better or no worse than a lot of Marvel villains.
He's way worse. I think he's way worse.
No.
Real generic.
I think like I would probably say like
generic.
I would probably say if you're looking at Malekith, like I would give you that.
Yeah.
Because Malekith was also like the same issue where like you forgot this man was even in the film.
Yeah.
Outside of Loki's relationship with Thor in the first Avengers movie, he is just as cardboard. Just
as Steppenwolf? My
Yeah.
God.
No.
You said Loki's a cardboard character?
He thinks that he's cardboard in the Avengers. He thinks that he's
Yeah.
he thinks that he's thin. Yeah.
Mark.
After he delivers the same speech in front of everyone.
Yeah, he thinks his motivation is thin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a whole argument. We could have a whole
I'm
conversation.
sorry.
We could have a whole conversation with this.
I have had this conversation.
Actually, Kevin Feige went on record and he said, "We acknowledge that Marvel, we've had an issue with our villain, but we don't care."
They do have an issue with their villains,
villains,
but
but
you could
he's not-
take
no, he's not
Steppenwolf.
it.
Again, like
You could take
They
Steppenwolf.
don't care.
put him in any
Any-
of
yeah.
like blockbuster.
Exactly, and he'd be the same
I
thing.
just-
You couldn't.
Except Die Hard.
Well,
No one's
'Cause it's
hands
Christmas.
will
I will let it try
No
that.
one's hands
I'll let it see
will-
that.
It's Christmas. We must.
It's not Christmas till Steppenwolf falls off Nakatomi building.
That's right.
But like, so what's your rating on this out of plantains?
Plantains?
Platinum.
Out of 10 plantains?
10 plantains.
I'd
Is this
give
how
it.
you rate on this show?
Yeah.
That's how we started already. We started already with platanos, and it was.
It was plantains, green banana, and a snap box.
Oh yeah, not just snack box. It was wingdings.
Wingdings, yeah.
Sorry, I
wingdings,
missed
'cause
this
was
part. I
obsession.
missed the last two episodes of this.
Yeah.
So plantains are higher or lower than green
Higher.
bananas?
Well, plantains are higher than green bananas.
Yeah,
okay.
bananas are healthy, but
Wingdings are like the top of the mark.
Yeah, man. You know what?
All right, I can say. I
Trying to
can
get this show to
say.
be sponsored by Chef. Right?
Yes.
I can say that. I would give Justice League a 7.
A 7?
A 7. Because Justice League was just simply enjoyable. It was a fun
Right.
watch.
Yeah.
You feel
Well,
I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. But
there you go.
it's like entertaining.
yeah.
I don't know if you would watch it again. It's much better than Batman versus Superman, which is
Yeah.
probably the worst one of
Yeah,
so far of those,
very much.
and a little bit less enjoyable than Wonder Woman. So yeah, I think 6 out of 10.
I think for me, like this film, when I first started watching this film, like I was a little disappointed, like from the opening scenes. I felt like I was kind of like, this is gonna be really bad, like as I said. But like as the movie went on, I became more warm to it. But I still wasn't all in until Superman came out. When Superman came out was a moment where I actually like leaned in, and I was like, okay, this movie started for me. And that was almost like an hour and
Yeah, it's
20
really
minutes.
far in.
Yeah, it was over and like 20 minutes in.
He's
So-
dead for all that time.
Yeah, like, and so I was like, he's really dead for all that time. It was like an hour and 20 minutes in, like, it was when I felt like this movie started. Like, while I was watching, there were a lot of things that I noticed that really just rubbed me the wrong way. I wasn't a big fan of Ezra Miller's Flash. I felt like he was almost like slapstick at points, like just tripping over his 2 left feet. And like, again, I'm not against a different version of Barry Allen, but this had nothing about him that really made him
Felt
look
like
cool.
Barry.
Like even with a person with speedy powers, like I didn't really feel like he was much of an asset to the team.
Yeah, one of the things about Barry versus like Wally, for example, is that Barry Allen does bring a certain competency to the character.
He's like he's a
And,
detective. Like
yeah,
he
he's a
has like
detective. He's
right.
and they definitely leaned into like young rookie Joker
Right.
for Ezra's.
He was
performance,
almost
but-
like Bart Allen in a
yeah,
way. Yeah.
he's like
Yeah.
Bart Allen, and then it was like, well, what is he
Why-
bringing
why-
to this?
Exactly,
you know?
right. So yeah, like a bit of in terms of like characterization, I wasn't a big fan of it, but I don't hate the film. It's about a 6 out of 10 for me. I've heard some people say that this is better than Thor. But you know, overall, I think the book was better. Well, that's it. Mark, you said you had to step out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got
not kicking you out.
5 minutes. So
5 minutes. All right, so.
this last bit.
For our last bit, speaking of DC and all the wonderful things they're doing, the CW edition of their big event was Crisis on Earth X, which is a 4-episode crossover between Supergirl, Arrow, The Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow. And right, so this was based on. This is based on Earth X, which was Earth X is traditionally known as a version of Earth where Superman landed in Nazi Germany, and the Third Reich used him to.
Don't mix it up. That's Red Sun.
No, Red Sun is when he landed in Russia.
Earth X was always featuring the Freedom
it was
Fighters.
Russia.
Right.
Red
Sun is
Red
Russia.
Sun is Russia.
Red Sun is
Red Sun is
Russia,
Russia.
Right, but Earth
Red
X
Sun-
was when
Earth X revolved largely around the Freedom Fighters.
Right, like
Characters
America.
like,
Yeah.
Uncle Sam,
right?
Ray,
Yes, yeah.
Right.
and those characters. So Superman for Earth X traditionally never really factored in
He was in though.
to that story.
He was in Earth X. Like there was an issue in Multiversity that was like they were fighting against a
In
Right,
multiverse.
a
So-
Superman that
So
Superman that
this
landed.
crossover, which is
Right.
the second crossover of all 4 of those shows, because they crossed over last year for the first time,
Right.
Yes.
and one of the several crossovers that the Arrowverse has done.
Yes.
Definitely pulled a lot from the Multiversity story, I think.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Yeah, for this particular thing. Did you guys watch all of them?
I saw them actually last night.
I'll be the only person who hasn't done
Yeah.
to see any of them.
Right.
I've actually finished it last night, and I thought it was really cool. The only weakest episode for me was the Arrow episode. I didn't like that much. I didn't really like Kara as a villain. I don't
because Melissa Benoist is she does this whole purity and light and
yeah, she's a little. I don't think she played that too well.
So I actually like when Melissa Benoist is evil.
Right.
She's done it twice before. Once she played like a Red Kryptonite version
On Supergirl?
Kara on Supergirl,
Right.
which was I think the best that she's been at as a villain. And then one time where she played like the Bizarro Supergirl version of herself. This one I thought was a little bit more hammy, the way that she does Overgirl.
Right.
Yeah.
But I still really liked it because it felt right for the way everybody else was playing the villains.
Right.
So
what did you think about the first again like the storyline of like having like obviously we know like everything's going on in the world now, like Nazis have made a resurgence into our society. What do you think about this story, like again pushing a Nazi story like within everything that's going on in the current social climate?
I think it was kind of ballsy of CW. I mean, CW gets bad rap for being
teen drama and stuff, right? Yeah.
Unfairly so.
I think unfairly so.
Because they have
With at least with the Arrowverse, I think unfairly so.
yes.
But I think for this one, it was ballsy. It was oddly timely and kind of topical.
Okay.
So it was cool. I can say it was pretty much a better Justice League than the Justice League movie.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
But again,
I feel that
Justice Society, Justice League.
Well, it was.
I kind of feel that way
the
about those
Justice
shows.
League. Okay, so there's a lot of things that I want to say about this because I actually really enjoyed this crossover. Last year's crossover, I think, wasn't as good as this one.
The Dominators.
The Dominators
wasn't as good.
And even they kind of make that joke because in the first one in the Supergirl, she fights a Dominator, and then she's like, "Oh, that was so last year." But this crossover, in terms of like the same kind of thrill that you get from watching the Avengers, seeing all the characters come together, they gave a lot of the characters a lot more to do in this crossover.
Okay,
they gave a lot more people. They're working with more characters too, which is a lot harder, right? Because not only do you have the characters from Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, and Legends, but they actually introduced Ray in this one.
Ray was really good in this. I was
Ray
really
was really
good.
good. And then they have characters that are no longer on the show, like Captain Cold, on as well. And yet I felt that they gave most of the characters a lot of limelight to do stuff. There was character growth. Because you have to have progression for the characters for the show so that Legends has something for their next episode. Arrow had something. Flash had something.
Correct. Yeah.
The only one maybe arguably is Supergirl that doesn't really impact her storylines moving forward. But it did better than Justice League in that everybody felt had a moment to shine. That is a show where the CGI is very noticeable.
It's very limited. Even
Like,
though they
very
did
noticeable.
put some power into it for the
And
last
they,
fight, though.
I think, blew their budgets for all of those shows on this crossover. And yet, even though I can see the CGI, like when Killer Frost is on the using her ice slides or anything like that, half of the Supergirl versus Overgirl fight in the final episode, I'm pretty sure is all CGI.
That was dope.
It looked really fantastic. And whoever is doing the fight scene coordination / shooting the fight scenes, there's a shot in the Supergirl episode where they're all fighting in a church and they're not wearing their costumes.
Oh, yes.
And it is shot really well because you see people who are fighting and then you see the characters behind them fighting. And even though it's coordinated so that from a 360 you can actually tell where everybody is, that's really hard to do, to kind of put them out so that you get a sense of mapping it out, and then seeing everybody's powers working around each other. It was thrilling.
And even Wally's like Wally had a good moment there where he break down the bullets.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
And Barry are doing some kind of like capoeira break dancing for that sequence, but
he never did anything again for the rest of the
really
crossover. They benched Wally again. That was like my big regret.
They also benched Cisco after the first
episode. Which is like you bench like your best character.
I think part of the issue with that is for Cisco, for example, is given his powers that they would have probably resolved it a lot faster. So you have to have a reason why.
Teleporters easily go and make it
exactly
easy. Yeah, what I was going to tell you is that one of these days we have to have a conversation about somehow talking about choreography, especially when it comes to action.
Oh, for sure.
Because I ended up in a conversation about Into the Badlands. the other day.
Oh yeah.
And talking about why it fails in terms of its action sequencing, even though it's super stylized and it looks cool, but when you